Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, today we'll start our next topic that is actually associated with international trade. If you remember, we have discussed different branches of business, and we have discussed that mainly there are two branches, industry and commerce. And when we are talking about commerce, so we have a trade. The commerce have two branches, which are either you are going to trade or you are involved in other kinds of aids to trade, like you are facilitating trade. Then in trade, we have another two types, which are domestic trade and international trade. So our main topic is international trade, in which countries are involved in importing and exporting goods from one country to another. If you are getting goods from another country, that is called as imports. Like those goods are produced in somewhere else or in some other country, and you are in deficit of that product, so you will be going to import that product to in your own country. And exports is that those products which are produced in your country and they are produced in surplus, so you will export them to other country where they have this product in deficits. So international trade is very important for countries. International trade is very much important for maintaining peace within the world, and many other things are very important regarding international trade. In this lecture, we will be discussing an important aspect of trade that is called as imports. Discuss that imports are goods which are produced and outside the country, that these are not your domestic production. These are produced in any other country, and you need that products because people use that product within your country, or some you need that thing for your industry or any other another for any other purpose. What you will do is you will import that good from another country into within your own country. And these are goods like chemicals, technology, which include machinery, software, hardware, expertise. If we look into Pakistan scenario, so we see that Pakistan is largely importing many chemicals. Pakistan is importing technology related equipments like laptops, like mobile phones, TVs, electronics majorly, and many other products are which are being imported from outside the country to within our own country. And when you are intention when your intention is to import certain goods from the other country, you have to consider the certain factors while you are importing that good. So what are these important factors? So first thing is identification of products to be imported. That is something very much important. Before the identification, you have to see that whether that products what are the products which are required by your industry or by your country and the customers of your country. And if there are the demand of certain products within your country, so obviously you will find out the countries in which you can get that products which has a good quality and at lower prices. So first of all is that you have to identify that from which country it's possible for you that you will be importing that good. Like then procedures, like how you can import that good. What are the procedure? There are certain goods which can only be transported through air. There are certain products which can only be transported by sea. So you have to find out the procedure, methodology, technical process, and documentation for imports. Like you have to make terms and condition with the importers, that the countries in the people or the trader who are importing goods to you. So what are the terms and condition of that? What is the transportation cost, like what would be the cost of transferring that good from that country to up to your warehouses, and what would be the terms and condition of the shipments, and how you'll be going to finance all those activities. So all these things are associated with your procedures of your imports. And while you are going to import something, first of all you have to identify all these factors. After that you will be able to determine a complete procedure through which you can import your goods, because those people who are indulged in importing that goods are the people who are doing their business. So obviously they have to find out that how much it costs to import that good to your homeland, and what price, at what price you will be able to sell that product, and what would be the profit margin for the person who is indulged in that business. So all these factors have to be considered while you are importing goods from a foreign country. Then another aspect is your exports. As we have discussed that exports are goods which are being produced domestically. Yeah, like that are the goods which are being manufactured within your own country, but they are sold in some other country. And when you are talking about exports, so exports are mainly those products or those things which you are producing at surplus, or which you are producing efficiently at lower cost, and it is beneficial for the countries to get that good from you, rather than they will produce themselves, because you are producing that good in a very low cost. Or you have a very high quality of that product. So these are the things which you can produce domestically and they are in surplus, so you can export these goods from to the other country. And there are lots of advantages of exports, because when you are exporting that goods to the other country, you will get the foreign exchange. Like you will be, it would be the earning, it is the flight of capital towards your country. So exports are very important, and some of the advantages of exports are given, like it's a support of government, because many revenues are coming from outside the countries. So obviously it would be a support to the government. And if you are producing more goods, and this will also increase the GDP of the country. Then high profits, because you are producing that goods within your country and getting money from the outside, or when you may getting foreign exchange. So obviously it will give you high profits and pride for the country, because your good is being accepted world over. So obviously it's a pride for the country. And utilization of production capacity, because within your country you have lots of resources available. You have human resource, you have physical resources, you have many other resources. And when you are indulged in exports, or when exports are increasing, so all these idle resources which are not being in use, so these resources would be utilized, and it would be a productive utilization which will help you to earn profit. So obviously the exports are very much important for any country. And the countries try to make such an environment for the businesses to support them in their exports related activities. International trade is very much important, especially when we are talking about international disputes, because when you have increased international trade, and when countries allow other countries to freely trade within their countries, so in that case it will increase the coordination and cooperation between these countries. And many disputes were settled down with talks, and many other kind of positive sentiment would be increased. Based upon that, many international organizations were developed, and mostly these organizations were developed after World War II, because there was a lot of destruction, and the damage in European countries due to World War II, and they don't want to increase further, increase further, and they don't want to indulge in further disputes. Therefore, many organizations, especially United Nations, were developed, and at that point, it was recognized that rather than fighting with each other, it is very important for every country to collaborate with each other. So, on based upon that, this GATT, that General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, so this is the GATT is actually an organization which was developed, which the main emphasis of developing this organization is that they want to encourage nations to collaborate with each other and try to increase international trade. And now this GATT is transferred or replaced by WTO, that is World Trade Organization, and this is the same organization, but now this organization has a name. The name of the organization is changed to World Trade Organization, and the purpose is the same, that they want to they want to increase international trade between countries. They want countries to freely import and export goods with each other. They want countries to decrease barriers to trade. And what are the barriers to trade? Like there are many countries who don't want to introduce certain specific countries product within your country. Like we have lots of problem with India. So in India, Pakistan have developed certain trade barriers like taxes, like quotas, like many other things. So the main purpose of WTO is that they want to remove these artificial barriers, and they want to encourage international trade. And this WTO was organized in January 1 in 1995, and majority of the world countries are the members of WTO, and they have to follow the rules and regulation of WTO. Based upon that WTO wants to encourage international trade, and they want to decrease decrease the barriers as low as possible. Countries are divided based upon their per capita income. And what is per capita income? That is actually the total income of the country divided by the total population. So that will give you a per capita income. And world is divided based upon how much income, how much per capita income is generated by each country. So when we are talking about economies of the world, so there are majorly three categories on the basis of per capita GDP or per capita income. Like there are high income countries. These are the countries where people are earning up to $9,000 or more dollars. Then there are middle income countries. These countries where people are earning between the $7,765 to $9,000. Then the third are lower income countries. Those countries are where people are earning below 765 US dollars. And Pakistan has a little below than US dollar 765 income line, and it is moving towards middle income class countries. So the situation of Pakistan is not very good. We have to encourage the export sector. Not only that, we have to increase or boost our investment sector and production sector in order to sustain our position, or in order to reach up to middle income class countries, and sustain its position over there. Now, there are many items which are the key exports of Pakistan, like sports item. As we know that football of Pakistan is being used in the Football World Cup, and Sialkot is the hub of this sports item. Apart from that, in Sialkot or in Pakistan is a good exporter of surgical items. Then we have are a good exporter of agricultural products, mainly rice. Pakistani rice is a very high quality rice. Then the textile products. Textile is the major exports of Pakistan. Pakistan, the majority of exports of Pakistan are comprised of textile products, which include bed sheets, t-shirts, and towels. So these are the products which are the main exports of Pakistan. Apart from that, we are a very good exporter of good exporter of many other items, like marine products, seafood, and surgical equipments, and many other kind of chemicals and inorganic and organic chemicals. Import and export balance. Import is something which we are purchasing from any foreign country, and export is something which we are selling to the foreign countries. So it's very important that we should maintain a balance between import and export, because when we are the imports are increasing too much, in this case too much amount of foreign currency would be transferred from our country to another country, or we are purchasing too much foreign currency and selling our own currency, which actually damages our economy. And it's in the favor of the country to have more export rather than imports, as gap between import and export create problems. And if this gap is if it's surplus, so that's actually in the favor of a country. But if it is deficit, so it will create problem for the country, and more amount of foreign currency would be transferred to the other countries. This kind of balance varies from country to country. There is another concept of balance of payment. Actually, balance of payment is a concept which is related to a balance of import and export. When we are going to measure balance of payment, it is actually equal to total receipt. Total receipts are the total amount of money which we are receiving in exchange for our exports. And total amount of payments, actually total payments are those amount which we pay to foreign country for imports. So we can measure balance of payment by finding out the difference between total receipt and total payments. If receipts are greater than balance of payment is favorable, and if payments are greater, balance of payment is unfavorable. So every country tries to increase their receipt by promoting export related activities, and giving boost to those industries which are especially related to exports. When we talk about a level of involvement in international business, so majorly there are two type of involvement. One, as we have discussed, that when you are exporting our product to the other countries, or purchasing goods or importing certain products within our country, so you are actually involved in international business. But there are many other things or other measures through which you will involve in international business. Like there are international firms. These international firms have operation worldwide. Like these are the firms which have their companies or their operations in different countries. Their headquarter is in one country, and they are operating in different countries. These type of organizations are called multinationals or MNCs. These are actually the companies which design products separately for each country. Another level of involvement in international trade is global organization. As MNCs design products separately for each market or each country, global organization are different from that. They consider the whole world as their single market, and they design a standardized kind of a product for this global market. So these type of organization actually find out the major needs, and find out that what is the major global need, and they design a single product for the whole world. They don't modify their product according to country or geographical regions. So these are called as global organizations. Majorly, if we see, Pepsi is a global organization, and there are many other automobiles companies, and these are the different type of. But when we look into the detail, so there are different type of automobile organization which can modify their product according to the needs of the people, like Honda and Honda and many other, Suzuki, and as Suzuki has operation in Pakistan, but this is actually an MNC, and which design products separately for their domestic market in which they are operating. Now, how we will organize our whole international operations. So this is actually an international organizational structure. First of all, if we talk about import and export, if we want to export to any foreign country, so it's very important that we see that we should have an agent, independent agent, find out an agent which is involved in this kind of activity. This is actually called as independent agent, and this is a person or organization that works for an exporter or importer, as their main task is to facilitate importer and exporter, because you don't know a person outside your country, so obviously you know certain persons who know them better and who can help you finding better importer or better exporter. Then appointment of representative abroad, like you have to appoint certain people or certain organization which represent you over there, because these are because obviously in foreign country no one knows you, so you have to appoint a certain representative abroad that will represent you, and that will represent your product and facilitate your international operations. Then a licensing agreement, it's also very important, because there are certain countries in which import or exports required licensing, so you have to make an licensing agreement. Then independent branch office, you should have an independent branch office at your international operations. But if you are exporting your products in America or in other countries, you should have a branch office over there. Or you can go for a strategic alliance, like in certain countries there are certain boundaries, or there's a certain restriction, like I can give you an example of Sri Lanka and India. In Sri Lanka was not authorized to do direct operation or do imports exports to India. So what they have done is, and a Sri Lankan company make an agreement with Indian company, and they make a strategic alliance, and they enter into Indian market. So in certain times you can go for strategic alliance as well. Then for direct foreign investment, this is the kind of activity in which the foreign country the company in a foreign country invest in your country. Like in Pakistan, we have different companies who are making investment, and what they'll do is they'll invest in the country, and they'll do operation over in country. Like if we see CPEC, so in CPEC China is investing lots of amount of money, and in many cases they have given loans, but they have made many large amount of investment, so that is called as foreign direct investment. And this kind of investment has different types. In next semester you will be discussing detail about foreign direct investment and strategic alliances. But in at this point you should know that strategic alliance is actually a kind of activity in which you will make a group with any foreign company and enter into the market of that country. Or in this case you can have an agreement between foreign company and you, and do operations. And in foreign direct investment is, or direct finance foreign investment is, that it's that the company from abroad come up in your country and invest in that and start operation in your country. They can start a production facility in your country, and so on in many other activities. So this is called as direct foreign investment.